Hey kids, welcome to another lesson. This is lesson 4 in module 2, where we are converting unit expressions into unit form as mental strategies for multiplication. And it's really important to, this lesson is really important to help us understand better what's happening when you multiply. So some kids are still a little bit fuzzy on what are we doing when we multiply, and we're just repeating a number a whole bunch of times. So we've been talking recently about repeated addition is a sign that you have multiplication happening. And so if you understand that, today's lesson is going to be a lot easier because you'll be able to understand if I have something that's repeated, how many times it's repeated is going to be the other factor. So anyway, that's what we're doing in lesson 4. Here's an example with a couple of problems. 8 times 31, it would be 31 8 times. Okay, so you could do adding 31 8 times, but who wants to do that? Nobody, because it's just a lot of work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to show it in a model before, this is preparing us really for the standard algorithm. So 31 times 8, if you switch those two around, knowing that we can do that with the commutative property, we'll still get this same answer, but our picture will look different. That's really key for today. So 31 times 8 means add 8 31 times. And really nobody wants to do that because 31 times having to write this number over and over, that would be a hassle. So instead of having to do this, our mental strategy today is to use a close number to help us solve this. So I could do this in my head because I know that 8 times 3 is 24 plus the 0 is 240. But how can knowing 8 times 30 help us? Because if I can get that close to my answer, then all I need is just one more of whatever other factor is. Okay, so if I need 31 eighths, I just need one more 8. Okay, or on this one, if I need 31 8 times, okay, I could, well, I wouldn't really want to do that. It's like you're looking to make a 10. So could you do it 10 times and then take off 2 31s? Yes, but that might be a little bit more work for you to do in your head. So you're looking to get your numbers to the nearest 10 so that it'll be easier when you're adding on or subtracting from what is left or after you figure out your first product. So 30 times 8 would be 240. Add on one more 8, you get 248. So that's the idea, is to do this in your head. What if it's 8 times 29? The idea is to know what 8 times 30 is anyway, and then take off an 8 at the end. Still, knowing what the product is from this one, 30 times 8, and then taking off an 8, it can help us. So here we have just another example. 38 minus 1 8 equals 29 eighths. That's where I'm getting this. And it'll just help us. There's a little bit more on the back. So you can see another picture because this one has the subtraction after we bump up and then we take off. So if I have 49 times 20, okay, if I have 50 20s, okay, and then I take off 120 because remember it's just, it's like repeated addition, but I don't want to if I don't have to. So instead of repeatedly adding 20 50 times, I can do it 50 and then take off 1. Okay, that will give me 49 times 20. And it's easier to do in your head. And then for this one, 49 20s, again, it can be 40 20s plus 9 20s. So say if you're really better with working your way up or adding, how come that looks blurry? Focus. Thank you. So if you're better at working your way up, you can use this strategy where you take the 20s and you break it into 40 plus 9. And then you can do that in your head. So you have some options today, but we'll get right into the book and then you'll see what we're talking about. So lesson 4. Mine's on page 143. Hopefully yours is somewhere around there. Module 2, lesson 4. Let's jump in. So, I love these. Circle each expression. That's my sarcasm there. Circle each expression that is not equivalent. So we're used to circling the answer. This time we're going to circle the one that's not equivalent to the expression in bold. So this is going to throw students off. So you have to think about, if it does match, then we'll put a star by it. But if it doesn't match, we'll circle it, because I know that will kind of satisfy the need to mark these that are the same. So, for example, 16 times 29. Now remember, multiplication is repeated addition with each of these factors. So I can use my properties to switch the places. 29 16s is the same thing as 16 29s. This is the same, but I do not want to circle it. I want to say, if it has the same value, I'm not supposed to do anything. If it does not have the equivalent value, then I will circle it. So 16 times 30 minus 1. Well, in the previous lesson, we worked a lot with PEMDAS, and you know that 30 minus 1 is 29, and we have to do that first before we would multiply. Now, since this is 16 times 29 as well as the first one, that would fit as an equivalent, so we don't circle it. I know, it's so confusing, right? So here's one, 15 minus 1. Now, we always solve what's in parentheses first, get 14 times 29. Now, is 14 times 29 the same as 16 29? No. So we're going to circle that because it does not match. It's not equivalent. Now here we have two operations in parentheses, and we're looking to find the difference between them. So already I'm thinking, holy moly, what's happening here? This may look really different. If I have 10 29s, I'm going to have 290. And from that, I'm going to take away 6 29s. Now, the 10 and the 6, if we were going to put those together, we might get 16, but not really in this order if I'm separating out the 10 and the 6 and then the 29. But I'm subtracting here, so that's going to throw me off. If I have 6 times 29, now can you do that in your head? You can do 6 times 20, because at this point you might not be familiar with your standard algorithm, plus 6 times 9, and so you'd have your 120 plus 54, and then that could make 174. And so if I have this, then when I look at this and I'm trying to solve for 16 29s, I can see that this is not going to be equivalent. So you can circle it, okay, because we're ending up with something far different than 16 29s. You can look at, and if you want to check it, you can estimate. Okay, so you could say even 290 10 times would be 2,900, and I'm going to subtract. So anyway, moving right along. So 38 times 45. I know this is probably clear as mud. That's how these lessons feel sometimes. But 38 times 45, again, mark it if it's right, but circle it if it's wrong. So if I have 38 plus 40 times 38 plus 5, this is, again, they're trying to show you that 38 is being multiplied, or is supposed to be multiplied by both parts of the 45. So when you have this multiplication sign here, and then you have the addition sign here, you're supposed to multiply this by 40 and 5, not add it. So the addition signs here and the multiplication in the middle is going to throw everything off, because I should not be working with 78, because everything in parentheses has to be done first, and I'm not working with 43. So it's not 78 times 43. That's not equivalent. Since it's not equivalent, we're going to circle it. Here's another one, 38 times, this is what I was just talking about a minute ago. If I want to multiply 38 times both parts of the 45, then I can multiply it by 40 here, and I can multiply it by 5 here. So This is equivalent because I'm taking the 40 apart, I'm multiplying it first, and then I'm putting them together. So you really have to pay attention to the operation signs. That's what's making it work here where it didn't work here. And it didn't work here. Okay? So another one. 45 times 40 plus 2. Well, that's 42, and I'm trying to get 45 times 38. So that one is not equivalent, which means we circle it. Okay? I know that's still confusing, but circle it when it doesn't work. Okay? And then 45 38s, we were talking about like mind-blowing concepts that you can put the number right next to the words, and it's 45 times 38. And so this is the same, and so we will not circle it. And the last one of these really horrible not answers, 74 times 59. And again, 50 plus 9 is 59, so that is equivalent, so don't circle it. 74 times 60 minus 1 is 59. That is equivalent, so don't circle it. Now here's this one again. Okay, 59 times 74. This is a 5, and this is a 9. I need 50. I don't need 5. This is 5 ones, but I need 5 tens. So this will not match that because it needs a 0, okay, right there, but it's not there. So that's why it doesn't match, so that's why we circle it. And then 59 74s is again 59 74s. Okay, so that is equivalent, and we don't circle it. I know, isn't that the worst? Okay, let's move on. Now this is where it actually gets really fun. So on these, we're going to draw a picture, and then we're going to either add to or eliminate from our repeated number. So how can you tell what's being repeated? Well, I'm going to look at the 2 factors that I have, and then I'm going to look at the word form. So if I'm repeating 25s, notice that that is the number that's being repeated. So big hint on how to draw the next model. So if I have 19 25s, but it would really be easier to find 20 25s, you're going to think, this is your cheat sheet, think about 20 25s minus 1 25, because again, in multiplication, it's repeated addition. So if I have 20 25s and I take away 1 25, so they're kind of giving you the hints here, and they're showing you how to do it here. Okay, so, oh, and then don't forget this one, 19 is just going to be copied over here because we're rewriting it with our unit form, which is our objective here, is to pay attention to the unit form, and then make a model. So here's where we get to actually do the solution. 20 times 25 should be easy math. Standard form answer is going to go here, like all these different blanks, like filling in the blanks. We're just rewriting it, solving it in bits and pieces. So 2 times 25 is 50, but this 0 is going to come down. So 20 times 25 is 500 minus 1 times 25, there's your 25, and now I have something I can do in my head. 500 minus 25, 475. And you should be able to count, you know, by 25s because it's 25, 50, 75, 100, just like if you're putting quarters in a vending machine. Okay, 24 times 11. So how many 24s? It's 11. But think about how to add or take away from a 10. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to show you this model where we're going to create 10 24s, and then we're going to add 1 24 because I always want to try to get to the 10. So if I have 24, 1, 2, dot, 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 and I have 10 24s plus 1 24. And that's where you get your, that's the 11th one, okay? So if I was going 10, 11, that's where that's coming from. Now let's solve these. It's 10 times 24 plus 1 times 24. This is easy, 240 plus 24. And then when you put these two together, this is the ones column, this is the tens column, this is the hundreds column. Okay, and you should end up with 264. So I hope that is getting a little clearer than that first part where it's like blah, clear as mud. But we do have 2 more pages, so hang in there. 79 times 14 is repeating the 14s. Now, if I want 79 of them, I have to think about how to go up to the nearest 10 and then down 1. Notice that here is the subtraction, so I'm going to take off 114. So they're still helping us with our think, but down here, they're going to not help you as much. So if I have 79 14s, it's 79 14s. Let's make 80 14s. 1, 2, ... 80 14s. But to get to 79, I would take off one of them. So think about 80 minus 1. Write it in standard form, 80 minus 1. We're just kind of rewriting. We're rewriting the minus sign. We're rewriting this. And now we can solve it. Now, you might not know your 14 times 8s. Just do that over here. That's okay. Who even knows that off the top of their head? 8 times 4 is 32. 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 112. And again, we're trying to get to the mental math place where we can do it in our head. And you could possibly do it, but it's just easier if you have to do a little calculation. Just do it in the margin. It's very helpful. So if you have 1,120 for your first part, but then you take away 114, and I don't mean 114, I mean 114, then it's 1,120 minus the 14, which leaves you with 1,106, the difference between those two. Okay, so start with 80, take off 1, and that's where you get your 79. Okay, let's do another one. 21 times 75 would be how many 75s? 21 of them. So if I have an extra that goes over the 10, then I can add 1. So I can do 20 plus 1. And so always look at which number is getting split and which number is getting repeated. Okay, if these are all my 75s, because that's the number that's getting repeated, ... 1, 2, and then I have 20 plus 1, 75s, and that would be the 21. So I have the total, all the 75s are here, but I'm just breaking it up into 2 parts. So rewrite your standard form, 20 times 75 plus 1 times 75. Now we have to solve this one, which we can do it. Okay, if you have 3 quarters twice, then you have a total of 6 quarters, which is worth $1.50. So 75 times 2 is 150, but don't forget the 0. Okay, so 75 times 2 gives you the 150, and then this is the 0 from the ones place. Then we have 1 times 75 is 75. And then from 1,500, if I have to go down 75, I'm going to end up at 25, but it's going to be down in the 1425. This place value. Oh, sorry. Ooh. That's what's nice about when you guys are here. I'm adding. I'm not subtracting. So 1,500 plus 75, 1,575. Woo! Good thing I got that one. Don't want any disasters in our math today. 2 more boxes on this page. We got this. Define the unit in word form and complete the sequence of problems as was done in the lesson. So they're just saying, like, do more of the same, but now you're going to put in the word form. So if I have 19 times 15, I have 19 15s. Okay, so again, if I have 19, I would like to start with 20 and take away 1. So 20 15s, write the whole word, minus 1 15. Now that I know what I'm doing, let's make a model. And we're repeating 15s. 1, 2, dot, dot, dot. This is going to be 20, but I really just need 19 of them. This is where I want to go with all those 15s. And we're going to take this one off. So find the 20. So 20 times 15 minus 115. Now, multiply 15 times 2 for 30. Don't forget that last 0 for 300. Make it 300 minus a 15. So from 300, now I can subtract. I'm all excited about subtracting. So 300, go down 10. That's 290. Go down 5. That's 285. So break up even this part. It can be fun. And the last one on this page, not in the lesson. Okay, 14 times 15 or 14 15s. Again, we're repeating the 15s. And so think about this. This is where we're going to have a fun little picture. If you have something that's in the middle and it's not 19 or 21, you can do 2 chunks. You can make 10 15s. Okay, dot, dot, dot to 10. 1, 2, 10. That's fun to count. Plus the rest, which would be 4 15s. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I have 10 plus the 4, look at that. See my plus sign? So I have 10 15s plus 4 15s. And again, people are going to break these things up in different ways. Like everybody thinks differently. So show your standard form here. 10 times 15 is 150. 4 times 15 you might not know, so you might have to calculate, but 15 times 2 is 30, and 2 of those would make 60. And then 150 plus 60, 150 plus 50 would be 200, and then it's 10 more than that. So 210. We're almost done, you guys. Hang in there. Almost done. Last 2 boxes, but again, the boxes are kind of fun. So if I have 25 times 12, it's 12 what? The other number. 25s. Yeah, there's supposed to be a hyphen, but how often do people put that? Not very often. So if it's 12 25s, I'm going to think about having 10 and 2. And it's all going to be with 25s. 25, 25, 1, 2, dot, dot, dot. 25, here's 10 plus 1, 2. So 10 plus 2, that would be the 11 and 12, which is where you want to get to, okay? So think about 10, word form or unit form, 25s, plus 2, 25s, okay? And then make this standard form, 25, 25. Now solve. 25 times 10 is 250, plus 2 times 25 is 50. And then put these together, 250 plus 50. Easy peasy, 300. And up here, top of the next and last box, 18 times 17, so it's going to be 18 17s. So we're repeating the 17s. Oh, now am I going to need coffee? 1, 2, dot, dot, dot. And this time we're going to make 20, but we're going to take off 2 of them. Okay? Because I need to get here, and 17 is the number I'm repeating. We're going to take off 2. Anybody say you can't do that? No, of course you can do it. Okay, get to a 10 and then take off what you need to. So think 27, oops, I started too high, teens, minus 2 17s, and then 20 times 17, and 2 times 17. So it's just this number written in unit form and standard form. And then now, of course, you might not know your 17s right off the top of your head, but think about this. 2 times 17, what are 2 7s? Okay, it's going to give you a 4. And 17 is, well, almost 20. So you end up with 34. That's the long and short of it, plus that 0. So 17 20 times. 17 times 2 is 34. Don't forget the 0. And here's our 2 times 17. We just solved that right here. So take your 340 and you have to take away 34. Or what's the difference between 40 and 34? And the difference is 6. So last questions, very important for reasoning. Oh yeah, click subscribe. Come back again if you find these videos helpful or entertaining or anything like that. So how can 14 times 50 help you find 14 times 49? So just, this is all the space they give you. So it's basically just, you don't have to write basically, that's too much. It's easier to work with tens. So 14 times 5 and a 0, 0 is easy. Then remove a 14. Okay, so if you go up, you can just subtract 1. You only have to subtract 1. So, and it's, you know, if you have 51, oh, thanks, lights. If you have 51, you can go to the 50 and then add 1. So you want to get to the tens. Work with the tens and then add or subtract as needed. But this one, you're going to go down 1. Okay, remove a 14. Solve mentally. Okay. Instead of using 101, we're super close to 100. So when you think about it, like we don't want to write everything out, but when you think about it, because it says solve mentally, and then first thing I do, I'm like, oh, look at that. But you want to add the 1 times the 15. So in your mind, you should be thinking about this becoming 100 and then just adding another one. So 15 times 100 is 1500. And then you have to add on that extra 15. So without showing any further work, you can, in your head, answer the 1500 plus 15 as 1515. Okay? And in the same way, you want to work with 100 for the 18. And so you're going to go a little too high first, and then you're going to subtract 1 of the 18s. So you get 1800 in your head, and then you subtract an 18, which if you subtracted 20, you'd have 1780, but then you have to put the 2 back, so it's 1782. So in your head is how you're supposed to solve those. Okay, we're almost done. Salim says that 45 times 32 is the same as 45 times 3, plus 45 times 2. Well, I like the 2 part, but 3 is not 30. Okay? Explain Psyllium's error using words, numbers, and or pictures. I think in my old book it says use them all, and in the new book it says and or. So basically, 3, we need 32, or 3 tens and 2 ones. If you talk about place value, your teacher will love you. Okay, 3 tens and 2 ones. So he only used 3 ones, and that's an error. So Psyllium will get it because we learn from our mistakes and we get it right the next time. And finally, Juan delivers 174 newspapers every day. Wow, that's a lot. Edward delivers even more newspapers each day than Juan. Write an expression to show how many newspapers Edward will deliver in 29 days. Wow. So with the expression, if we have Juan's amount, okay, oops, that's 1. But then we're trying to figure out Edward's amount, then Edward has everything Juan has, which is 174, plus 126. So Edward's total is going to be greater, okay? Now write an expression to show how many newspapers Edward will deliver in 29 days. So without calculating Juan's amount, we're going to take Edward's amount, which we have to put these together. first, that means parentheses, and then multiply it by the number of times he would repeat this amount. So you have to use parentheses in order to get that amount first, then multiply. So we're just writing an expression. We're not solving. Just write the expression. We're not solving yet. Use mental math to solve and show your thinking. So in mental math, we've talked about a couple lessons ago, rounding to appropriate numbers. So what I would do here is I would take my 174 and I would round it up to about 200. I would take my 126 and round it down to about 100. Okay. I would take my 29, I would round it to about 30. And with mental math, if I have shown that I can get here, then this is really easy because I have 300. 3 times 3 is 9, and then I have the 2 zeros from here and 1 0, so I'm going to have about 9,000. And when I solve it, about 9,000 newspapers. Okay, so about 2 plus 1 is 300. 300 times 30. There's the 9. Here's the 2 zeros. Here's 1. So approximately 9,000 newspapers. And I hope this is helpful, and I will see you if you come back again for another one. Bye now.